most people get wrong, and I got this wrong for years, is they confuse points with these loyalty schemes with status. And virtually all the schemes have two separate categories of points. They have the points you earn that you can redeem for flights and hotels, and they usually don't expire, or they go on for years and years. And then most schemes have status levels which you earn within a particular year, which can be like a calendar year, or British Airways for some reason do April to April, and you generally earn them by flying. On some schemes you can earn them by credit cards, but you literally earn a certain amount in a year, and if you don't earn enough to earn status, they're gone. Those points disappear.
Welcome to the Truly Expat Travel Podcast. I'm your host Paula, and this is Season 2. On Season 1, I talked to expats about their favourite holiday destination. On Season 2, I'll be doing things very differently. I'll be chatting to expats about where they currently live, why they chose that destination, all those secret hidden gems that only locals know, like favourite restaurants, best neighbourhoods, things that tourists don't. Welcome to the Truly Expat Travel Podcast. I'm your host, Paula, and today we are not talking about a destination. Today we are going to be talking about something really important. I've got a really special guest here today, Tim Lewis. Welcome, Tim. Let's get started. What are we talking about? Let's talk about you, what you do, and the topic. So, welcome.
Well, I'm Tim Lewis. I run the Tim Lewis TCF YouTube and Substack, and I don't post as much as I should do, like a lot of people, but I've kind of specialized in one mildly niche area of airline status schemes and earning airline status, as opposed to the general points thing. So there are all sorts of follow-up questions you can start with about that. So I guess I'll let you fire away.
Yeah, let's get started. So I met Tim at a conference not long ago, and we've hit it off because we are very similar in the respect that status points are so important in this kind of world that we live in today. So for someone who's never thought about loyalty programs with airlines and status points, can you just give us a little bit of a rundown what it means, what it is, why it's so important?
Well, the thing that is most people get wrong, and I got this wrong for years, is they confuse points with these loyalty schemes with status. And virtually all the schemes have two separate categories of points. They have the points you earn that you can redeem for flights and hotels, and they usually don't expire, or they go on for years and years. And then most schemes have status levels which you earn within a particular year, which can be like a calendar year, or British Airways for some reason do April to April, and you generally earn them by flying. On some schemes you can earn them by credit cards, but you literally earn a certain amount in a year, and if you don't earn enough to earn status, they're gone. Those points disappear. But then if you do get enough status points on the status side of the schemes to earn a level of status, then you earn that status generally for the rest of that year and the next year. So it took me years to with the point where I suddenly realized status was important. And I think I might be stealing one of your later questions here. So apologies. Okay. But I remember actually I was in JFK Airport. I hate overnight flights, so I always do morning flights. And I had my ticket, and I was like Group 9 on BA for the morning flight in economy.
Yeah.
And I was seeing Group 1 come up, Group 2, 3, and 4 and 5 were economy groups, and then 5, 6. And I was like, because it's annoying to be if you're in the last group on boarding a plane, it's not so bad with international long haul flights. But if you fly any kind of domestic or short haul flight, you can't get all the bins are already taken up, and you end up having to check your bag. You're always the last person on the flight. And that was the point where I thought, maybe I should do some research to work out how all the groups and things work and how status works. So that was the point I started to think, and maybe I should look into this, because I set myself the challenge to visit all 50 US states before I was 50.
Yeah.
And this must have been after state 42 or something. My strategy was basically wherever I can get the cheapest flight, I'll always fly the cheapest thing. And I did lots of stuff with buying packages on Expedia with the hotel and the flights, which you can actually get really cheap flight deals doing that. But that's about the worst thing you can do when it comes to trying to earn airline status. So that was the initial point of where I started with it.
So then when we talk about status, you and I know what that means, but
Yeah.
how do you get to what is a status in comparison to a frequent flyer point? What are the other benefits of being higher up in your status, if that makes sense, or gaining status points as opposed to frequent flyer points? And how do you do it?
Depends.
Yeah. Yeah.
The status points, there's a couple of ways you can earn status points, and it depends on the airline scheme. A lot of airlines have generally the more old-fashioned and the best schemes to look for, if you can, are ones where you fly a certain distance and you get a certain number. They literally have charts saying, like, if you fly this number of miles in economy, you get this number of points. And some of the newer schemes, which are new in terms of ripping off the customer,
Yeah.
but from a more understandable, so like BA have changed from an older scheme to a new one, which is all on cash spend. So how much you spend.
Okay.
So BA, you used to have to earn tier points from flying distances, and they had little like gradients of like, if you flew over 2,000 miles, you get like 140 points.
Yeah.
And if you flew under 2,000 miles, you get like 40 points for
Yeah.
business class. It was like very, very weirdly strange. And people were obviously like, those of us sort of gamed the system in the old scheme, because you could work out you had a flight that was 2,020 miles or whatever.
Yeah.
And you'd fly that rather than like the 1900 one. And so, yeah, it depends on the scheme. So like British Airways are now all on cash spend mostly.
That's interesting.
And something like Malaysia Airline, which is the scheme I'm trying to earn status with OneWorld with at the moment, is like it's literally, if you fly a certain number of miles on any OneWorld airline, you get
A certain
amount of points.
Yeah.
And to answer a question I don't think you asked, or we were intended to ask, I'm just going to use my psychic ability here. But airline alliances are really important with status as well.
Yeah.
Because, and this is actually kind of true with normal airline points, but people don't talk about it as much with normal airline points, because you can transfer points between schemes and things. You cannot transfer status points between airline schemes, but there are 3 big airline alliances in the world, and they usually have the feature, in fact, they all do, that if you can book a flight for any airline in that alliance to any other airline in that alliance's scheme. So let's say when I was trying to earn British Airways status on the old scheme, I would fly American Airlines and credit that to the BA scheme so that I could earn the tier points under the BA scheme for the flight. I wouldn't go onto American Airlines scheme, even though you can book BA flights to the American Airlines scheme.
Yeah.
Because American Airlines is a cash-based one. In fact, American Airlines is supposedly you can actually earn status if you just spend huge amounts of money on credit cards that have the
Yeah.
American Airlines status thing.
Yeah.
It's important to consolidate all of your flying in a particular airline on one airline if you can. Everything on one airline alliance, book it onto one airline alliance scheme.
Yeah.
There are, like, it takes a long time, I've noticed, to get American airline flights that actually credit on Malaysia Airlines scheme for some reason.
Yeah.
Like 2 or 3 weeks. But it's certainly worth it, because it all adds up. And as I say, you've got to get to these critical levels where you earn status. And I've just remembered I didn't answer your other question.
That's okay.
So what are status levels? So the first thing is the trivial, like, you're not in group 9 anymore. You're up like group 4 probably, or group 5. Obviously, it depends how the groups in the airline works. But that's true on any airline alliance flight as well. So if you put your so I've got like the lowest level of status in Malaysian at the moment, because I'm trying to build. What do I get? I get access to the business class check-in desks, fast track entry. I think, do I get fast track entry? No, I don't get fast track entry at this level. I can book seats a week in advance without having to pay for them, which is weird, but that is true on some of the airlines in OneWorld. And yeah, I mean, there are a few other, like you get free extra luggage allowance and stuff as well.
Yeah. The luggage allowance is my big thing. Luggage allowance and lounge access.
Yeah, well, that's generally speaking, the next level up is the lounge access one. So that's the one I want to get to, and I will get to by the end of the year. And then the level above that typically is first class lounges and first class entry. So, well, so the bottom level is like, well, it's called that bronze, even though it's not always called bronze, but let's call that bronze because that's what PA calls it.
Yeah. And
that's literally, you get a higher group. You don't have to work. And that's actually more useful than you think because you get it to go on the plane earlier. And also there is something that's kind of unsaid. If they've oversold a plane, the first people who are safe are people with status.
Yeah.
So you don't want to, the people who are going to get downgraded, and I have been downgraded on flights, even when I've had like a business class flight and been downgraded to economy by BA in the past.
Okay.
Before I had status.
Yeah. Because
So,
also, Tim, I found that I don't know what it's like with BA, but I know because Qantas is part of OneWorld, and I'm chasing status as well. So I do status runs, which for those people that don't know what that means, it means that when you're about to expire, you go on a quick trip somewhere and try and get the status to bump you up to make sure you stay in that kind of bracket. And so at the moment, I'm chasing lifetime silver, but I'm trying to chase lifetime gold. But it means that I've got another 3.5 years or something of platinum to be able to do that. But it's not always that easy, is it? To be able to chase the status, because sometimes those airlines don't, even if it's part of a big alliance like OneWorld, you still can't, if you go into some weird place, you can't actually fly a OneWorld airline. So how do you, going off on a tangent here, but
no, don't worry. Yeah.
How do you pick the right the loyalty program, because I belong to two. I belong to Alliance, not Alliance, is it? No, Alliance, and I also belong to OneWorld. How do you choose the right, alliance for you, like for the person? How do they choose the right airline?
Well, the first thing I would say is like, where are you based in the world? Look at where is the airport that you use the most? Who is the biggest carrier that flies to the most places from the airport? So for me, it's kind of, I'm near to Heathrow and it's BA. So it has to be OneWorld, really. Funnily enough, I have got status with SAS and with Lufthansa as well now, but I'll come on to how you can get that in a little bit.
Yeah.
But no, there were two things that matter. One, which airline alliance is the most active and wherever you fly from is probably the best answer to that question. Then which scheme you go in is which is the easiest for you to qualify for.
Okay.
So let's say, and it's not as simple as you would think. So for me, because I'm a bit of a cheapskate and I like flying long distances, and I'm prepared to put the time into research, get the little ruler out and work out, go on to flight connections and work out, is this flight 2,200 miles as opposed to 2,100? Because Malaysia's got this weird, if you fly over it's got like limits of 2,200, you get like quite a few points more than if you got less than that.
Yeah.
Then I will do that scheme, even though I know it has issues because their customer support is not very good. You have to chase them all the time to get them to credit anything. But actually, I think it's one of the easiest schemes to earn status with, quotes from Fresh, because a lot of people can earn airline status pretty easily on a status match basis. So what happens is that you can match from one status to another status a lot of the time. Then they will give you then that status for 1 year, but you haven't earned it properly, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's not like you just got it. So that's how I status matched from British Airways to Lufthansa because they were running a status match still. So I had British Airways Gold and I'm status matched to Senate. And usually what happens with these schemes is you pay like $100 or something like that to status match across.
Okay.
But what's interesting is that some airlines let you status match really, really easily to hotel schemes.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Okay.
So there's two examples I know of. Well, there's three, I think, but they vary. So as we were talking before, I'm going to be going to this conference in Kazakhstan in August time. OneWorld do not fly to Kazakhstan.
Yes, I know that.
Air Astana do, though, and they're based in Astana.
Yeah.
So I looked up, I thought, like, and actually put this in the Facebook group for the thing. You can status match from all sorts of schemes to Air Astana for €35.
Okay.
So I'm now gold in Air Astana, even though I'm going to be like flying them 4 times basically there and then I'm going somewhere else. But that's going to give me free lounge access, priority boarding, all of these things. And it's like, well, it's really worthwhile. So Kenya Airlines is another one that status matches to hotel schemes.
Okay.
And a lot of hotel schemes let you get up to status with just scan a credit card or a debit card. I don't know about it. Certainly can in the UK. US, definitely you can.
Yeah, US is great like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure about Australia, but I know you can get like a Hilton. I've seen an IHG. There's a Marriott debit card, so you can get in the UK, which will give you instant gold status. You can get that, and then status match the Kenya Airlines, who are in the SkyTeam alliance, which is the same one as Virgin, Air France, SkyTeam, all the rest of it.
Yeah.
So, but you get it for basically 1 year, and then you're like, they won't let you re-status match again.
Yeah,
I think they might do after a year or so, but it's like, so.
That's interesting. I thought I knew about status, but obviously I don't. I'm obviously not really, I'm a Marriott Bonvoy girl, which I like because you get, again, the lounge accesses and stuff like that. I don't know enough about the other hotel schemes, so maybe that's something I need to look into moving forward. And with the status points, so we know how to gain status points. They're different to frequent flyer points, aren't they? Because frequent flyer points you can gain by using your credit card, or for me it's like buying petrol or stuff like that. So what is the benefit of those points as opposed to status? So status gets you somewhere where why are we gaining frequent flyer points? What does that do?
The frequent flyer points are the things that all of these influencers are using to get to be in first class. I've flown first class from Heathrow to the US. Cost me like 90,000 Avios points at the time, plus like £500. So it's not cheap.
Yeah.
But given that I think it will probably cost me, that's probably about £1,500 to get a first class flight, which costs like 6 or 7 grand.
Yeah.
You were doing it in cash. So that's where the points are useful, the frequent flyer points, because you can redeem that if you can get a good flight redemption deal. And there's so many people who do content on that.
Yeah.
It's like I learnt the other day that apparently if you want to fly United, get Air India points.
Okay.
Apparently Air India have really good redemption rates on United flights in the US. I mean, this is the thing. It's like Iberia are much better value for Avios point redemptions than British Airways, and Qatar are better actually in terms of what you get.
Qatar's good.
Yeah, Qatar are good for, and they all share the same, them and Finnair all share this Avios scheme. So, but that's a frequent flyer point. So they do not share status points.
Yeah.
Like Qatar have got this Q points thing.
Yeah.
BA have got their tier point ones. Iberia have got their very similar to BA's, but the same amount in euros scheme.
Okay.
Finnair have got their own thing, and people have started moving from the British Airways scheme to Finnair and to Qatar. I've decided to go all the way to bloody Malaysia. I mean, this is actually something to consider as well, in that Malaysia's frequent flyer points, the enriched points, are not as good as the other airline schemes. So obviously, if you're flying on a particular airline and you're crediting it to that scheme to get status, you are stuck with the points that you get on that scheme.
Yeah.
So to some people, it may make more sense to try and stick in the Avios community of status airlines.
Yeah. Because the other thing I've noticed, so with Singapore Airlines, with their
Yeah.
scheme, the thing I love about them is that your partner, so obviously my husband's status is much higher there in
Yeah.
that scheme. So I can actually get the same status as him, which I like because I wasn't flying them as much. So it gives me access to the first class lounge. It actually gives me like lots of status, even if I'm flying Scoot, which I love. However,
Yeah.
the problem with their airline status program is that you can drop from the highest tier to the bottom of the rings in a year. Whereas in Qantas scheme, you don't really do that. You don't lose your whole. They also don't. Actually, you can drop to the bottom of the ring if you're not a lifetime member, which they don't have. Which is what I'm getting at, which they don't have in Singapore Airlines. You don't get a lifetime. So in British Airways or Malaysian Airlines, do you have a lifetime scheme as well there, or no? Or you don't know?
British Airways do have one, but it's now
Yeah.
virtually impossible. And this is something they changed. When they changed the scheme, there were people who were getting really close to it.
Yeah.
And now they've realised they've got to spend like £1 million or whatever to get there.
Yeah.
To answer your question about dropping down the levels, I know that BA dropped down each levels because I earned all the way up to gold. And then since they've changed the scheme, I've been silver and I'm going to turn to bronze
Yeah.
in September. But also, Lufthansa are the same. When I status matched, I status to senator level. Now I'm frequent flyer level on Lufthansa.
Okay.
So I don't know about Malaysian Airlines. I
Yeah.
think they might do, but I don't know. So
Because
it's up to the scheme.
Because when you're at a certain level, so say when you're at gold, it's much easier to get to platinum when you're at gold rather than start from scratch, because the scheme itself normally, I don't know about all of them, but generally speaking, they give you more status points the higher level you are. So if you're gold on Qantas, you get more points for flying A to B than you would if you were bronze.
Well, I'm not seeing that. I don't know the Qantas scheme.
Okay.
What you do get is more of the frequent flyer points.
Okay.
So I think,
That's
I'm not
interesting.
sure about, it's usually like a multiple or some.
Yeah.
BA used to have a very good, like, you used to get twice as many points in gold than you would in thing. And now it's like 40% more or something. But that's actually that's another benefit of status.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of weird other benefits of status, like for the British Airways scheme. And I don't know if this applies across OneWorld or not, but the way they allocate seats on the plane is that
Yeah.
the people who have status have somebody sitting next to them last,
Yes.
depending on the way it finds out.
Yes.
So often, if you're in economy and you get the window, you get the aisle seat
Yeah.
or the window seat, you won't have anybody sitting next to you. The higher up, less chance. If the plane is not empty, it's not full. Plane's full, you're screwed anyway. But a lot of airlines do that, and they do everything by status level, and it makes a bigger difference than you'd think, actually.
Especially on long hauls.
Yeah.
And some of the airlines, not all, they come up and welcome you.
Yeah.
It's like
Supposedly.
like a nice, how are you? Welcome back. And then they give you a little special, would you like anything I can get you or something, which is also a nice nod, isn't it?
Yeah. And the other thing, which I tend to forget because I was a BA status holder, well, I still am a BA status holder, because BA don't do it very much, is upgrades. Like I've heard the US airlines especially upgrade to the whole thing. So some airlines, like I think it's Aegean, give you upgrade vouchers for each level of status. So they give you like 2 or 3 upgrade vouchers that you can use.
Okay.
So that's another advantage of status. It all depends. They're all all the schemes are all different.
Yeah.
It's a tremendous kind of hurly-burly thing, but it's really worth trying to get status because, especially let's say you only fly like twice a year, obviously status probably doesn't matter too much to you. But if you fly like 6 or 7 times a year, the status can make a big difference.
Yeah.
And to answer your question, well, no, you didn't really ask a question about this, but a lot of the time, most schemes let you bring in a guest to the lounge.
Yeah.
So if you're on the same flight as somebody else or the same airline alliance, depends on, I think like some of the alliances are a lot tighter than others. You can bring a guest into the lounge with you
which is
because of your
nice.
status. So,
Because also, this used to, they don't anymore, that they used to, if you were platinum and you traveled a certain amount of times, they offered you a gold card for one of your family members, which is how I started the status pro.
yeah.
You know, to begin with, if it wasn't for my husband giving me a gold card, I probably wouldn't have been on this journey of status, you know. Because then you get the luxury of feeling, it's not just when you're traveling with him that you get to go into the business class lounge, but you actually get to go in on your own. And then it started that journey with my son. Like, we gave it to my son,
Yeah.
and now he's very big into, the flying the right airlines because he wants to, fly business class and stuff like that. Because I think for most people, just going on a holiday is exciting, right? But I
Yeah.
think when you travel a lot, having the benefit of just those little perks makes such a difference to your
Yeah.
travel, especially if you're doing it for work. If you're traveling those, especially the way that you're doing it, and you're traveling quite a few airlines or quite a few destinations to
Yeah.
get to your destination, most people would be knackered, right? But if you've got those little perks like nobody sitting next to you, or, being able to go in the lounge, it makes a difference,
Yeah. And the funny thing is, because I travel to the US so much, or at least used to, might not even travel to the US for a year now because of everything. On the OneWorld schemes, there's this really weird rule that American status holders and Alaska status holders, who are both on the OneWorld scheme, cannot use domestic lounges in the US on domestic flights.
You're kidding.
No, they can't. But if you are a OneWorld status holder,
Yeah, because I just did it.
I know, for like Qantas, BA, Malaysian, you can access. So what I started to do a lot when I would book connecting flights via Dallas.
Yeah.
From the morning, go to Dallas for about 4 hours of lunch, go to the lounge, eat lunch, then fly to the next. And then you don't have to worry about being too early to check in at the hotel or the place
That's
you're going to.
clever. Yeah.
And it's like little things like that. It does change the way you fly, to be honest, and it makes connections a bit more enjoyable.
Mm.
And also, the thing is, you generally get more points for connections, most
Yeah.
schemes.
Yeah. But I think also, I don't know if BA does it or Malaysian Airlines, but I also look for double status points.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So, like, Qantas just offered everybody, if you book between a certain amount of time, you get double status points for those airlines, as long as they're not a codeshare. But I'm going to tell you, I was very upset with Qantas because I booked my trip business class to the US because I wanted the double status points. So then that would get me to where I
Yeah.
needed to get to. And they changed that flight to a codeshare. So one of those flights, I didn't get my status points. I was so upset. But there's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, I had a similar, not quite as big issue in Malaysia Airlines earlier on, in that I read they had their website and it had all this big thing. If you booked a hotel via their Enrich Hotels scheme,
Yeah.
you get a whole boatload of Enrich points, but you get one status point for every 8,000 Enrich points you earn.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not sure if I misread it or if their language was quite confusing on the website.
Yeah.
It was 8,000 in one booking.
Ah, okay.
And I did one with 7,500.
Oh, no.
And I was like, where's my one elite point I was going to get? So, yeah, the thing is, you are totally at the mercy of the people running the scheme. Like British Airways, the reason they changed their scheme was that people were gaming it massively because they had a double points thing for BA holidays. And like, apparently people were, if you got hired a car and did a flight to a destination, you could get double points. So people were flying to like from London to Bulgaria, going to the car rental place, and we don't need the car. They're just flying back again to earn like half the status points they needed to get like lowest level of status. So people game the things and then they change the scheme. And half the time, people who've done it legitimately get screwed over. But that's part of the fun of it, I suppose. Really.
Yeah, that's a good point, that because things change so often as well, it's good to read the information that gets sent to you, like the emails and, because they do change things a lot. Qantas has just changed that. You used to be able to give, so everyone when they, I don't know if it's just a platinum thing or if it's a gold thing as well, where you get 2 extra lounge cards for someone to use. They've scrapped it as of this year or next year. So nobody can, those extra people can't go in the lounge. I used to give them to the kids so that they could go in the lounge when we went with them, but they've scrapped that and there's a big uproar about it. But I kind of understand because, when you go into a lounge and you can't get a seat, it's so annoying, because you do all this stuff like you're saying. You do all this status runs and stuff like that so that you can relax in the lounge. If you've got to do some work or, you want to have a bite to eat and relax before a long flight. And then all of a sudden you're searching for a seat to sit down. And Qantas is bad. Qantas Business Lounge in Sydney Airport is awful because it's, the fact now they're refurbishing it. So we're at a temporary one. So then they changed it. They've now got first-class lounges in places like Singapore and stuff like that, which helps. But even the first-class lounge in Singapore is always busy, or even in Sydney, so you can't get a seat. So they've now got Qantas Club, so you earn frequent flyers and not the status. The status isn't as important. So they've got separate. They needed to do it because everyone was doing what you're saying and understanding how easy it is to try and, gain points in your status. And so then, the one thing though, I don't know what BA is like, but I know with Qantas, if you use your frequent flyer points to fly, you don't get status points on those. You don't earn status points on those unless, which is what I always do, is book an economy flight. So I get those status points and then I upgrade with my Qantas points. That's the way I use it.
My understanding is I think Virgin are the only people who give points for status points for redemption flights, as we would call them.
Yeah.
As I say, it's like there's just huge numbers of these schemes. And the thing is, I've looked at quite a few of them. As I say, I status matched the Lufthansa scheme. So to show you how it can change across different, I'll give you a couple of examples about how you would optimize the strategy for each of these schemes.
Yeah.
So Lufthansa's Miles and More scheme, which actually covers a lot of airlines. There's Air Austria, all of their little satellite things are all in this one scheme, and also Air Croatia and people for some.
Okay.
The way you earn the most status points, you have to earn half the points on Lufthansa Group airlines. That includes all of these millions of little European airlines and Eurowings and LOT airlines in Poland. They give you about 5 times as many points if you fly from what they consider one continent to another continent. But they include North Africa as part of Europe.
Okay.
So in theory, if you could fly, there's a Eurowings flight from Germany to Dubai, which will get you the same number of status points as if you flew from Frankfurt to LA.
Wow.
Because they're both a continental jump.
Yeah.
But if you fly from London, well, you wouldn't be able to fly from London because they'd lift out to that. But let's say if you flew from London to Cairo, because you're in the same continent, you get just this lower base level of flights. And you need, you get I think it's about 20 points you would get if you're flying within a continent and you on business class, and you get 120 points. And you need 1,000 points to get states, and you need another 1,000 points from the rest of the Star Alliance flights. So it's possible, but you have you could just be flying backwards and forwards on Eurowings, the economy thing, to Dubai all the time.
Yeah.
Now, if we look at something like British Airways on their new scheme, the way to earn status of British Airlines now is if you spend a lot of money on hotels, you can book, apparently at the moment, and they might well change this because people are starting to game this apparently, but British Airways holidays, you can pick any hotel and any flight and bundle them together and then earn that equivalent spend on the scheme. So they don't have to be in the same place. So let's say you were going to some expensive conference in London and you were staying at the Ritz or something, 500 quid a night.
Yeah.
And it was being expensed by business. And you could somehow wrap those 5 nights there with business class flight, that could get you to like silver status and be able to £7,500 worth of spend
Wow.
just from that expenditure. So all of the schemes have got their pluses and minuses. And for some people, one scheme might be better.
Mm.
The other thing to consider is obviously, do you need to fly on that particular airline? So was looking, Japan Airlines have got quite a good scheme, but you need to fly a certain number of flights on Japan Airlines.
Yes, Qantas is like that.
Well, you don't need to fly any flights on Malaysian Airlines to get Malaysian scheme.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
And the
that's
same with
interesting.
British Airways, you don't. No, you don't anymore. You used to have to fly 2 flights on British Airways, but it's
That's
kind of so. That's
really
the other thing to
interesting.
look when you're looking through the
Yeah.
alliances. Like, will I be able to fly with that airline? Do
Yeah.
you need to fly with that airline? A lot of the time you don't. So
Because I was trying to wrap my head around, because when you said you joined a Malaysian Airlines scheme, I'm thinking, okay, well, you must have to do a lot of Asia traveling to be able to travel Malaysian Airlines. But if
yeah,
you don't have to travel, because with Qantas you have to do 4 a year, and then you can use any other OneWorld and
Yeah.
get the points. But you don't get as many points by using other airlines. But you still get points. You still get status points. Because the other thing I noticed, especially with Malaysian Airlines, because I used to live in Malaysia,
yeah,
and I used to use Qantas a lot. So I used to fly down to Singapore via Malaysian Airlines, and then I would fly to Qantas to Singapore just because I'd get more points. But I would always find I'd have to chase Malaysian Airlines for my redemption.
Yeah.
What I would suggest people do is keep their tickets handy until you get your points redeemed, and then you can throw away those boarding passes. Because quite often when I would be chasing and then they'd say, oh no, do you have proof? Yeah, I do. I don't know if it's changed now, but I used to have the boarding pass and take a photo. Cathay was the same. I used to have to chase Cathay as well for points, but they're a bit better now. They're actually a lot better now.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is that Malaysia will generally. Well, I mean, I'm not actually sure about the backwards thing. To be thinking, I did fly and try and credit them to BA once, and they never got any points. So
Yeah.
there's a few other gotchas you need to be aware of. In that, certainly, if you're flying economy,
Yeah.
a lot of basic economy flights, whoever
Don't
you credit
offer,
them
yeah.
to, they do. You will not get it, and it's very easy to accidentally fly on a code.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And Malaysia Airline have actually got a long list on their website of all the codes and like the airlines and which ones they give points to. It's not presented very well, but you can work it out. And most of the schemes have that. If you're flying business class, you're almost certainly going to get credit for it. But again, they might credit it to some weird lower class business class. Like
Yeah.
in the US, they say it's first class, but it's really business class, like domestic business class. So
Because the other thing I got caught out on is that, so in Australia, I flew to Ireland with Qatar.
yeah,
And coming from Australia, even though they're OneWorld, they have an alliance with Virgin.
yeah,
So I didn't get any points to Qatar, and I didn't get any points to Qatar with my OneWorld, but I got them to Ireland from Doha to Dublin. So that's also good to know, because in Australia we have an alliance. Qantas has an alliance with Emirates, but they're not part of OneWorld. So you don't get status points, but you get frequent flyer points. That's the difference with a kind of alliance with just 2 airlines.
Yeah, well, Virgin would be better in a way because you could potentially credit that to a SkyTeam
Yes.
one.
Yeah, because had I have known, I would have put those,
Yeah,
because I thought it was the OneWorld and I'd
yeah,
already given them my Qantas ones. They weren't going to honour my, because I also am a Virgin frequent flyer,
yeah,
because with Virgin, because Virgin is Virgin Blue, not Virgin Atlantic, it's also a different scheme. Because I was with Singapore Airlines and I tried to redeem points on a Virgin domestic flight here, I had to actually be a member and transfer the points across. I couldn't just use my points. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And so I've got these points in there just uselessly, because I don't fly them, which I should, because they're probably going to expire, which is another question. How do people lose, because quite often I've done it in the past where I've lost all these points because I haven't used them. How do do we stop that? Or how do we be aware of that?
Well, this is something I've been trying to give some thought to. A lot of the time you can transfer the points somewhere.
Yeah.
Like I've got a debit card that for some reason gives me Singapore points. And I
Okay.
did redeem them for a flight, but you can actually it's easier if you're in the place where the airline is.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like I got some Etihad points from this. It was a special offer. You could sign up and get £5 worth of Etihad
Right.
points.
Yeah.
And they let you create a little debit card and spend it as a point. You can apply for that. And I think Malaysia Airline do this if you're based in Malaysia, which I'm not.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's usually some obviously horrifically bad value way to
Yeah.
convert it to Marriott points or
Yeah.
Starbucks vouchers or something. So that's probably what you want to research for the schemes where, like, I'm going to get a load of Aerostana points just because I match with Aerostana. And obviously, I'm booking it for that scheme. So, it's worth it. The lounge access is worth the cost of the matching and the giving up the status point. But I'm going to look to see, I think they've got some sort of scheme with Lufthansa. I might be able to move them to Lufthansa. So it's doing new research. You don't have to redeem most of these schemes in flights. Flights are usually the
Yeah.
best value to redeem them. But if you
That's
can
a-
get half of it as vouchers to something you can use, then do that. I mean, that's the thing. Rather than letting it, I mean, a lot of them don't expire, to be honest. Like United, I was looking at, like, I've got points in United, they don't expire. Malaysian Airline ones I don't think expire. Avios expire if you don't earn any for some
Yeah.
reason, but you have to
That's
not
true.
earn or spend anything in a year.
Yeah.
So a lot of them don't expire, but
Yeah.
keep an eye on all of them and look to see, is there a way I can just get a Starbucks voucher or something that I can just use in some way? So
Yeah.
that's what I'd say to all the miscellaneous points.
Yeah, because I've done that in the past. Like, I remember before I even knew what a status was, I received years and years ago, this is before we even moved away, Troy, my husband, we went to the tennis and he was chosen to, I don't know, some competition and had to hit the ball over whatever and then received all these points. And we never used them because we didn't really travel very much. And I kick
Yeah.
myself now because now I look back, it was a lot of points. Like
Yeah.
we could have done a trip, a family trip, but yeah, I didn't understand the value of being loyal to a particular brand or, so we talked roughly about the hotel. So do you belong to just one hotel loyalty program or do you also?
I do actually at the moment.
Yeah? Yeah.
Well, I just did it as like an experiment. I'm just a member of the IHG one.
Okay, yeah. I'm a member of them as well.
Because it's actually surprisingly easy to earn status with IHG compared to the other ones. Well, I say that.
Yeah.
They've all got debit cards that you can pay like 200 quid a year and earn status.
Yeah.
IHG have just launched one. So I'm like, oh, okay, that's going to get me the same level of status as I've spent all this time going to IHG
Yeah.
hotels for. I'm not such a fan of hotel status, at least at the lower levels. You don't get as much. I'm going to get up to the level where I can get early check-in, which I think is useful.
Yeah.
And the lounge access is like the next level up.
Yeah.
But a lot of the chains don't have like lounges at their hotels. Well, it's like an executive suite room kind of. That's actually really nice if you can get a
It
scheme with
is.
that.
That is actually, because then you don't have to be paying for breakfast or, but that
Yeah,
sort
well,
of thing.
some like I think the Hilton scheme gives you free breakfast anyway, doesn't it? So you have to
Yeah.
get up to a particular level. But as I say, you can match hotel status, which is generally easier to get to airline status. So
Yeah.
you might find that it's something like one of the Air France or something is your local airline, and their scheme is not especially easy to earn like status with. I haven't really spent much time looking into Flying Blue, but don't think it's particularly easy to earn status. But you could get a credit card, get your Hilton status, match it to Kenya Airlines, who are in the same alliance.
Yeah.
They'll get weird looks as to why have you got Kenya Airlines status, but they'll accept it. And yeah, unfortunately with SkyTeam, And SkyTeam, they don't, in the Delta does not let you into their lounges on domestic flights. I don't think it lets you in their lounges at all if you've got SkyTeam membership.
It's so bizarre. But,
Yeah.
anyway.
But, yeah.
So if someone wanted to start today, they're starting from scratch, what should they be doing in the next 24 hours?
Research.
Yeah.
As I say, like, understand the airline alliances. There's three big ones, like OneWorld, Sky Alliance, who are the biggest, but also, so if you're American, OneWorld is American and Alaska. SkyTeam is United, and Delta is Delta's in SkyTeam,
Yeah.
not Star Alliance is
Yeah.
United. So research those, work out which of those alliances you're most likely to fly on.
Mm.
I mean, if you're somewhere like Dubai that hasn't got, Emirates is not a member of any of the alliances. That's more an issue. I
Yeah.
would just fly to Qatar and
Yeah. And you use
sort
their...
that one.
Yeah,
Is
exactly.
there one? I think Saudi are part of Star Alliance now, maybe SkyTeam, I'm not sure. But
I
yeah,
think they're part of Alliance because, I think.
Sky,
Actually, no,
yeah.
don't quote me on that. I'm
Yeah, I
not
know.
100% sure.
Well, Google, this
Yeah,
is what they're going
Google.
to be doing. They're going to be Googling all the big charts and seeing like, oh yeah. And then it's like, yeah, look at, depending how diligent you are, look up the one. You ideally, you'd want to be a status member of the airline you
You're
most
living in.
fly with,
Yeah.
because they do get slightly more benefits
Yeah.
than everybody else in the alliance. But it's not that much usually. It's like less than you'd think. So do that, and then look at the airline you're most likely to fly with scheme. See, is there any way with my flying patterns that I'm going to be able to earn status with them, any level of status? If not, look at all the other schemes and check, do I need to fly with them?
Mm.
Would it be a problem if I do have to fly with them? Like Qantas to fly, if you're like in, Singapore or Hong Kong, and you do go to Australia a lot, then it might not be a problem to fly 2 times with Qantas if you want to do their scheme. But if you're in the UK, then having to fly twice for Qantas a year is a bigger bloody issue. So
Yeah. Actually, it's 4, so it's even worse.
yeah.
They're going all the way because Qantas does go all the way to London, but you'd have to fly them, to Asia.
Whereas like Aegean used to be apparently one of the easiest airlines to fly with, but now they've made it still quite easy, but you have to fly a lot with Aegean now where you didn't used to have to. So yeah, it's
worth researching.
worth researching. And the trouble is, it's very hard to say like this is the best
The best
scheme
one,
for you, because it might not be. Like if you go on holiday to Greece every 2 months, then Aegean might well be the best scheme for you.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
And like apparently there's like Korean airline scheme. I can't remember which one of the Korean airlines, but you can fly like 15 times to Korea and get like status. But it's like, well, do you want to do that every year?
Yeah.
Do you live near Korea? Could you do it? I mean, this is the thing. So
Yeah. Do your research.
do your
And all the
research.
schemes are usually free to join anyway.
Yeah.
So it doesn't hurt to join a couple and figure it out. But as long as I always hate it getting on an airline knowing that I'm not going to get points. It just makes me, gives me anxiety, especially because I went Korean Airlines and I think they're SkyTeam and I'm not part of SkyTeam. And I'm like, oh, should I be flying there? But yeah, I did. And they were amazing, by the way.
Well, that's the thing. Like you can look status match. Once you have some sort of status with a hotel, whatever, go there, type in name of airline status match, and there's a kind of a weird generic website called I think it's called Status Match or something. A lot of the airlines use that, and like literally they list the criteria.
Okay.
What is weird about it though is that the countries they allow often move. So like Lufthansa, I status match when they had the GB match, but now you can't match onto them unless you're based in like Germany or Denmark or something, and they move the areas around.
Yeah.
Often the US, for some reason, they don't like matching to people in the US. I think it's because they're worried about people getting access to the lounges in the US and annoying the US partner. So, but as I say, like I did that with Airline. If you're flying somewhere, especially with an airline that's not in an alliance, you can often status match. And sometimes, apparently, you can just go on the customer service site of saying, I'm interested I have status with X airline. can I and that sometimes they'll give you what's called a challenge match. So they'll say, well, you need to fly it 4 times and then we'll give you status for the whole year or something like that. I think that's what
Yeah.
Virgin do. So
Yeah, I'm gonna. Do you know what? Thank you, because I've learned a lot from this. I'm
Yeah.
actually going to go away and have a look at my next itinerary, because I'm off to Almaty. I'm hoping to be off to Almaty and Vietnam soon. So I'm going to have a look and see what I can come up with as well. But if someone wants to find you, Tim, where's the best place to find you?
Well, for the travel stuff, I have a Substack called Tim Lewis TCF, which was travel conferences. I think I put fun. I never knew any. Well, I'm now changing it to kind of the future. But,
Okay.
and I've also got a YouTube channel, which I've done even less than the Substack. I'll now be inspired to produce a bit more content. I do need to tell, I promised to do a guide to people to do the Malaysia Airline scheme.
Yeah,
Because Malaysia's scheme is interesting in that it rewards economy flights way more than most of the other schemes.
Yeah.
So you can earn status by flying economy. You have to fly a long way in economy.
Yeah.
But you can earn status. Theoretically, you can earn status with 2 long flights from Dublin via Qatar to somewhere in the Far East via Malaysia.
Yeah.
On economy. So you can't really do that on any other airline I know about. So that's something I'm going to follow up with and tell the world. But it is very much like hope they credit it. Hope they credit it.
Well, I'm going to find out. You keep me posted and let me know how you go.
Yeah.
I'll put all your details in the show notes anyway, for those who want to speak to find Tim. Thanks again for coming on. That was really good. That was very, very good. Listen, I feel like I sat in the classroom and I've learned a lot. So, thank you. So thank you again for listening to Truly Expat Travel Podcast, and happy travels, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you for joining me on the Truly Expat Travel Podcast. If you liked this episode and you found it valuable, then why don't you go ahead and like and subscribe so that you don't miss an episode moving forward. I've got some amazing guests and some fantastic destinations coming up. But if this is the episode and this is the destination that you really want to go to, then I suggest you head over to trulyexpattravel.com, where you'll find travel guides and deep dive into this sort of destination. If that's not what you want and you can't find an episode that is a destination you want to travel to, then head over and follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, because I'm pretty sure you'll find something there. In the meantime, safe travels, and I'll see you next week.